My paternal grandfather came over from Sweden on the boat and ended up in Barcelona as a commercial fisherman, lived in the lighthouse there, and learned how to speak English. Brought his indentured servant wife over from Sweden, Selma, and learned sheet metal, working at Dahlstrom Manufacturing here in Jamestown. And so he moved up the ranks and became the plant superintendent for one of the Andersons, who were the managers, owners of Dahlstrom at the time. And my engineer father, who went to University of Cincinnati, came out as an engineer and went into the Navy as a captain and worked on engineering projects. Specifically, he was working on the fact that at the beginning of the war, after Pearl Harbor, we'd send our submarines out to attack Japanese ships of all kinds, and we'd send torpedoes into the side of them and they wouldn't explode. So they were dysfunctional torpedoes, and that was another little embarrassment for the Navy, and so they put together an engineering team to try and fix the torpedoes, of which he became one. So after the war, he came out of the war, he came back to Jamestown in 1946, and he and my grandfather on a fishing trip on Chautauqua Lake decided they wanted to work for themselves. And so they said, let's create our own little sheet metal company. And down on First Street here in Jamestown, they created Dawson Metal.
Okay. What was their niche? What did they find?
Real close tolerance sheet metal fabrication, as opposed to some of the larger companies in town that were doing big steel enclosures, and they specialize in making hard parts that nobody else wanted to make, and so they became a very high precision, kind of at the top of the pyramid company in our industry. So that was their niche, and they were a very small company for a very long time. Well over 200 family-owned manufacturers in Jamestown that existed here after the end of World War II. And now, of course, we can count them on one hand.
As 70 years is quite a statement, and of course the economies have changed, recessions have come and gone. What's been your biggest challenge, because you grew up in the business, you took over for your dad? What's been the challenge?
Well, the challenge is like any other business, from the standpoint that you have to, you know, when you finish going home on Tuesday, you know, you have to start worrying about Wednesday. And a month from Wednesday, and 6 months from Wednesday, and a year from Wednesday. The job of the guy who runs the place is to vision where we're going to be and what resource we need to have in place to be able to be a competitive company going forward. The difference between a businessman and a technician, because I have 115 people who work for me, and really 114 of them are technicians. And I try and get the best technicians I possibly can find to be able to do the jobs of whether it's quality or engineering or human resources or manufacturing supervision or running a particular machine. I also look at what is the best technology that we can bring to the workplace in order to be competitive against both competition and meet the requirements that our customers have, both for price and quality. And so you're always visioning, trying to figure out, where do we go next? How do I address this in 6 months and a year? And so I can demonstrate to my customer base that we're going to be here and we're going to continue to make great product at a reasonable price. The technicians who work for me carry that out. They do the blocking and the tackling. You know, they have to run everything every day. So I have to understand how all that interacts with each other, but it's the real skilled people that work for you that don't want to be the businessman, don't want to interface with the banks and the insurance companies, and don't want to interface necessarily with labor unions or other entities that are important and critical, essential parts of being a successful business. But they, in their particular niche, they are a technician and they do their job well. And if they don't, of course, they get replaced. You look for market opportunities wherever they exist in the world, and we sell into Europe now. We sell, our two largest customers are a Dutch company and a Japanese company. We've sold into China. We did the doors for the U.S. Embassy in Beijing at the time of the Olympics that were held in Beijing. We've sold into other places into China as well. We've sold into Japan. We did the airport in Saudi Arabia, the King Fahd Airport. We've sold into Qatar. We've sold many places in the world, and we have to, and we demand of our people that we take a global view. And we're working on projects right now that have international. We just did the courthouse in Singapore, for example, as one of our projects. But it's not a sell down the street anymore, although we do. And we have markets here in Jamestown, and we have markets in Buffalo, and we have markets in Cleveland and Pittsburgh. But we also sell in Singapore.
How did you go from sheet metal, close tolerance sheet metal business to balanced doors, the Dawson doors?
Well, ironically, two of the leading architectural metal door companies in the world are here in Jamestown Faulkner, and that's Dawson Doors and Ellison Bronze. And we're two, most of the time, friendly competitors. We know each other, we like each other, respect each other. They have a different hardware system than we have. We invented our particular balanced hardware product, and again, it's very esoteric, and so not something that a lot of people would understand about how a door operates. But Ellison has a particular hardware system, and we have one that is different. And we worked that through with a company up in Bemis Point, with the Benson family. The Bensons and the Dawsons got together, and we invented an entirely new system of balanced hardware, which really operates a door so it's very easy to open, and it's got handicap accessibility, and it's a very sought after type of an entrance system because it has those qualities. But we're the two leading balanced door manufacturers in the world, and we're about 5 miles apart, not even that.